All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of RareFUD Radio. My name is Bison, aka BisonTrades, over on Twitter. And we're back with another episode, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Tuesday, Thursdays. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. Even in this market, this is the most down bad it feels like. Even though we had 30K sold volume a couple months ago, this feels like the real gritty capitulation moments that we've been looking for, really, on RareFUD Radio. The ones that people are moving to other chains, they're exploring Reddit NFTs, and we don't really have any projects massively pumping right now. It does feel like the down bad moment that I've really been waiting for in terms of a market turn. So we have a lot to talk about today. We have a lot to talk about in terms of what's happening in the market, not just in Solana NFTs, but also with Reddit NFTs and what's happening on Aptos and everything in between. We also have some projects to talk about that are actually doing cool stuff, like the degenerate eggs hatching and what came from that. And then we'll be talking about the bear market, what to actually be doing in a bear market where you could be building skills rather than chasing liquidity and hoping to make a quick buck. So join with me, as always, is my wonderful co-host. What is up, Dorian? How you doing, man?
Yo, man, what's going on, dog? I always like to say every day's a holiday, man. And like today feels like President's Day. Like it's kind of like, it's a holiday. I mean, we're here and we're still at work.
Analogy. That's right. It does feel like President's Day. You wish you had the day off. You wish people honored it. They don't. Yep. It doesn't really feel like a holiday right now.
No, it does not.
Hey, we still mark it in our calendars. And of course, joining us on this wonderful President's Day is Joe Stoll. Joe, how you doing, dude?
I love it, man. It's great. It's a great present here to talk about the market. Yeah, man, it's just down. We're down. Eventually, as time goes on, we see kind of more and more pain and depression, and you're just seeing it all, and people are just throwing liquidity at the wall. Yeah, I think we're getting there, man. But yeah, I love that during President's Day.
Hey, one day it's going to be Christmas again, guys. It's going to be Thanksgiving. We're going to be eating one of these days, but today is not that. So we push through.
It's funny you bring up Thanksgiving because I'm actually eyeing Thanksgiving as like this. Joe and I have kind of been talking about a little Santa's rally, which I think will happen. We're already seeing a little bit of green across the board in terms of coins and stocks and traditional equities and stuff. So hopefully that stays. Hopefully it's not just a little blip in the radar and we continue down to more red across the board. But hey, a little bit green is nice to see every once in a while. Hopefully it stays a little longer than 24 hours. Maybe we last another week. A month would be cool. Like having a nice green month would be real nice right now. But nonetheless, there is still stuff happening in Solana NFTs. There's still stuff happening in Web3 in general. And we do have some stuff to talk about. As always, we are going to be talking about the market summary, talk a little bit about what's happening. Volume is absolutely dried up. It feels like it does say 72K sold volume. So, that's good. We did see 30K sold volume. Like, a couple months ago, but this honestly feels worse. And we always say wash trading is still present. It doesn't really feel like it's meaningful volume right now, and you can't really take that metric at face value. So really hard to judge the health of the market just off this number. And we're just waiting for another catalyst to kind of really bring back the bullish sentiment behind Solana. And I feel it across all the spaces I've been on. I feel it from people's sentiment to jump chain and just try stuff out, which again, not really a problem. Like I encourage people to make sure you're aware of other chains, but guys, this feels bad. I mean, this does feel like the capitulation that we've been looking for, the anxiety, the anger. Like, why didn't I just sell this all at the top? Like, if we're looking at market cycles, this feels like anger. Joe, I want to go to you first, and then Dorian, how you feeling about the market?
Yeah, for our echo chamber, we definitely are in anger. You're seeing people dump liquidity bags of souls to chase Aptos FOMO, which is obviously that's just revenge trading and literally just throwing your liquidity, picking it back up, and then you just get into the cyclical nature of losing. So you can see capital preservation getting thrown out the window because people are basically giving up. Here, I'm just out of the market. I'm gone. Chalk it up to a big loss, and that's where people have to realize, like, people that are making the money, making you a couple things that happen. One, they have capital preservation, so they have portfolio management that won't hurt them towards this, this avenue. So, orchestrated by big volume pumps through influencers, and then you kind of have that trickle down effect of FOMO. So yeah, the market is tiresome right now, man. I'm tired. I don't even like looking at. What am I even doing here? This is so outrageous. There's 30 whitelist allocated dropped in DAOs for Aptos. There's 100 projects launching. The fatigue is there, and it's not gonna be much longer.
Yeah. Joe, you're right. I mean, like I'm seeing it in all my DAO chats right now. Is like the whitelist meta for Aptos right now is pretty much lighting up the entire Discord. It's not even sole projects. So look, projects are going to change chains because there's just more liquidity there right now. There's more churn. There's royalties over there. They can double rug you if they want to, where like they can launch and then absolutely zerg you for the royalties too. So I mean, like, look, it is seriously, they can, and they're going to. They're following and that's not like absolutely just dogging on Aptos itself. It does have a future. I'm sure it has some sort of future, but right now, thinking that this is going to be the next paradigm shift is going to absolutely get you burned. Dorian, let's kick it over to you. How you feeling about the market? What are you doing right now?
Oh, dog. The market is depressing, dude. My whole goal is to stay off of Twitter as much as possible. Sorry, there's nothing going on there. Literally, there's two conversations. Aptos, and 0% royalties. Guess what? I'm done talking about 0% royalties. This conversation has been, it's like beating a dead horse at this point. Even though I got a video coming out on it, that's the final nail in the coffin for me. I'm done after that. But yeah, dude, it's super depressing. So during this time, to keep my self occupied, I'm taking time off because if nothing's going on, there's no point in me trying to force something to happen. And also I'm trying to just work on my personal brand within the space because even though I'm not being as active because there's nothing happening, I still want to continue to network and grow my own personal brand.
Yeah. We're going to be talking about all of that later in the episode. We do have some headlines to talk about first before we kind of move into really the meat and bones of today's episode, which we are going to be talking about what to do in a bear market, because look, some of the best trades were the ones we've been calling out. It was the Atomate stuff with supply chain and Box and Monkey. It was the 4x4s. And that was like a 2x on a pretty high cost basis. And you're talking about like 17 to 20 SOL net, most likely. That's like $500 to $600 per NFT. And that was the best trade you could have made over like the past week or two. It is brutal right now. So we are going to be talking about Reddit NFTs because those have been taking the world by storm right now. We're going to be talking about Aptos absolutely dropping off a cliff when it comes to volume right now. And then yeah, we're gonna be talking a little bit about Soul projects. So Reddit NFTs, right? To me, it's so funny because these have 0% royalties. They have done what 4.1 million in the past like 3 days or something like that in volume. 1.5 million in the past 24 hours, according to Monday's numbers. So that is nothing to tread lightly. That is literally almost the entire Soul volume right there, Soul NFT volume in one collection. So nothing to bat an eye at. It's crazy to me that people have been like dying for utility. They're like, where's my cash flow? Where's my rev share? Why don't you support royalties? They come out with 0% royalties. The utility is literally just like a social badge. It is what, it's the social engagement and stuff of what NFTs are cool, what makes Web3 cool, and like its own little nascent industry. And it doesn't have to be a game. It can just be something social, and people like to trade it. You own an asset that's a digital collectible, which is now a new hot phrase, which is crazy to me. I'm like, what did you think NFTs were? Was NFT just like a crazy term to you? So now we're calling them digital collectibles. Whatever, that's fine. And 0% royalties, like people are not batting an eye or saying anything about 0% royalties over there. It just sounds so contradictory to me that all the people that were talking about this stuff, all of them, even on the Ethereum side or anything like that, are now they're doing it over there. Like it just it's funny to me. I'm like, go ahead and make your bag. I say this on Aptos, I say this on Reddit NFTs or anything like that, but you cannot be sitting here and saying all of this as a community and then doing the exact opposite, whether it's on Aptos or Reddit NFTs or anything like that. This is virtue signaling at its finest. I'm off my soapbox.
Please continue.
No, Dorian, you go ahead, man. What do you think about Reddit NFTs? How do you like
it?
Dude,
I think it's awesome. First of all, it's like, I can understand your rant, man. And guess what? Calling it digital collectibles in my book, call it whatever you want. It's still an NFT in the end of the day. If it makes you feel better by picking up a digital collectible, go ahead, dog. I ain't going to stop you. Regarding this, it also makes me more optimistic for the future adoption of NFTs on a mass scale. It's like, this is a clear sign that people do want these collectibles in order to show that because they act as a social badge to say, hey, I earned this, or hey, I'm part of this community. This is the bull case for NFTs that we've been talking about for a long time. So I watched John Carlo's YouTube video. He's really what I strive to be as a YouTuber. Such a solid guy, always providing great analysis on market trends. This is one of the trends he's saying we should start looking out for, and I completely agree with him. We can probably see other large companies begin to launch these digital collectibles, say no royalties and whatever, but under the surface, they say that because they don't want to get caught up with the SEC. But we know it's like they're going to have some type of benefit that goes to these NFTs. It's like, why else would you have a digital collectible? You get what I'm saying? So and I agree with you, Bison. All the people on their soapbox about we need creator royalties, blah, blah, blah. They're the first ones to jump over there not to pay anything. And another thing that bothers me about this whole zero creator royalty thing is like, dog, all these people complaining, you can just click full royalties, easy clap, problem solved. Like everybody's acting like the marketplace got a gun to their head saying, don't give creators royalties. That's not the case.
Yeah, no, and I do want to clarify that this is not me dogging on Reddit NFTs. I love it, dude. I'm about Reddit NFTs because, dude, they have 3 million collectors right now. Almost 3 million collectors. You want to talk about a Web3 onboarding event? That is it right there. That is amazing, dude. It is more or less the NFT community that has kind of bridged itself off and like made the barrier to entry, whether it's emotionally, like they just make it not a fun place to be anymore. Whether it, they're saying all the money's left. No, there's still plays to be made everywhere if you want to look for them. And the people that are virtue signaling, saying like 0% royalties and you need utility, this needs to be a business. No, Reddit just proved you wrong. Reddit literally just proved you wrong. So I think this is a net positive. I'm hoping that people just like kind of have a light bulb click and they're like, wow, maybe I was just like absolutely blinded by a bear market, because that's what it feels like. It does feel like that. And
I agree.
I'm hoping that, this marks a nice age of what NFTs can be in their own little, part of Web3. Like, it doesn't always have to be a digital collectible, right? It can be a game character. It can be a dynamic NFT. It could be a title on a house, down the road or anything like that. I mean, it can be so many things. And I just want people to realize like NFTs can take so many ways, shapes, and forms, and in so many different, like they can have 0% creator royalties and still make sense. So again, Joe, I will let you go on that. How do you feel about Reddit NFTs? Have you been trading them or anything like that? Because I know you've been a degenerate lately.
I have been a degenerate lately. I know. I love the concept as well. Yeah, exactly. I love the concept. I love being able to take them into Web3, and without them really realizing it. All they are in a role-based system. Some are ranked higher than others. I know one just this morning, one of the ranked ones. So like, there's some speculation and funders that are diehard for that Reddit forum, and I think it's an upward trend there because you have 400 and some million users on Reddit and only 3 million users, right? 3 million users, like you said, 3 million onboarded wallets, but there's a lot more, and I think that's as a massive business with really smart people, trickle down effect to other businesses alike, right? And other ways, NFTs, and I think it's funny that they call it digital collectibles because you guys know with Reddit downvote system, and anytime there's really any talk about NFT immediately, so it never gets seen. So I think they saw and heard that, and really has a bad stigma within the gaming sector, which is very big in Reddit, digital collectible, which I'm fine with, right? It just kind of broadens the more onboarding users without the an NFT. Like, it can be more than that, and we boil it down, all ownership, right? So I think digital collectible is great as well. So I think it's a net positive for that. Is just really nothing else but downwards momentum and everything. We've nice a pop little of excitement for us in the long run, right? Well, just us collectors and digital lovers. I think it's.
Yeah, I echo that, Joe. Even though my boy's in the Matrix and it was a bit hard to hear him, I got the gist of what he was saying, and I agree. His takes are always spot on.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and he's right. I'm hoping it's not just a blip. I'm hoping that more companies can adopt it. But the Reddit NFT paradigm to me is very interesting, Dor, because what we're seeing from it is that all these people that were calling for you need to make a business model or anything like that, which they were giving them like a month to actually set that up and actually prove to be profitable, which shows how little people in the actual industry have been in business. Like some of these businesses will take 2 years plus to actually turn a profit. And I think the way to go about it is build critical mass, right? So like just reach a ton of people, build a platform that absolutely kills it on the user front, and then release an NFT if you want to go about it that way. Like, I think that is a more viable business model than trying to stick a gun to an NFT company's head and say like, hey, you need to make a profitable business right now. Like, we aren't giving them enough time. And I think Reddit just shows like, hey, if you want to go that route, maybe just work with people that have proven to be profitable over time, or build a platform that reaches critical mass and then release an NFT.
Dude, I agree with you, man. And let's say that a lot of companies begin to adopt the model of, if you have one of these digital collectibles, you'll have access to exclusive rewards or exclusive purchases that you can only get by having this collectible. I think a lot of people will buy into that. So people are always worried about revenue models. Just because you don't make any money off of NFT doesn't mean that these Web2 companies can't monetize that later on down the line, which I'm sure that they're more than willing to do. But the best part about NFTs is that it allows holders to actually benefit instead of just the company. The company didn't make any profits from this. The new people that finally entered NFTs were able to realize the power, like, oh, crap. I'm making money off of something I just brought for $10, $12. I sold this for like $1K, $2K. So we're seeing a lot of how NFTs and digital asset ownership are affecting people. And I think this trend will only continue.
Yeah. It's going to be really interesting to see how it all plays out. But I think this is, it just shows another way to use NFTs for social good, to build a community, and 3 million people now have an NFT of some way, shape, or form. Like, I think that's so cool. And hats off to Polygon. Like, I I want to give my respect to Matic because they've been poaching some serious talent as far as they got the head of YouTube gaming on for their gaming sector over there. They've been building some cool games. I've seen Easy do it on his YouTube channel. They have been getting like some of the best platforms. Dude, they launched on Matic. Like Reddit just launched a basically 3 million collection successfully. Like 4.1 million in trading volume. Like that is nothing to bat an eye at. So hats off to Matic. You know, I got to give it to them, and this is where we recognize other chains. Like, dude, they were doing it right. So you know, I hope to see more of that from Solana. You know, one thing I wish Solana would do is like head up somebody to be the head of like NFTs and NFT growth for the Solana ecosystem. Like we don't really have like a pivotal C-suite level person if we want to consider Solana an actual business. That is like the head of making sure that NFT growth and reaching out to these Web2 companies and being like, yo, Solana is the platform to release these NFTs on. So, you know, that would be really cool to see. I hope Solana maybe takes a note because I know Matic does that. And Matic has the benefits of being an EVM compatible chain. So they get to tap into that Ethereum liquidity. So we're going to need to make some serious strides in Solana if we want to see that kind of potential. But nonetheless, big on Reddit NFTs. I hope a lot of other companies are taking notes and we get to see, you know, cool social movements like that where people get collectibles just for using your platform, right? So that being said, let's talk about Aptos. You know, it's the bear in the room. Volume dropped off, dude. I just saw a snapshot that was like
on Aptos.
Yeah, like a completely. I'm talking Aptos Mingos and the Bored Ape derivative and all that good stuff. They were down like 40 to 60 to 80% on their daily volume. Just goes to show. I just want to put this out there. Like I said, Aptos is going through its incredibly infantile nascent stage where you could absolutely find that gem in the rough that could be the Aptos blue chip. But a lot of people are going to use the same blueprint they used to grift a bunch of money over here on Aptos. Like it's so much easier. You try launching some of these collections on Solana, you're going to get absolutely roasted. You launch them on Aptos, it's like, wow, fun collectible, we can trade. It is a high stakes game of hot potato, right? So just be completely careful over there.
Doug, I've been in this space long enough to see this same story play out with another chain called Near. Man, Solana market was down bad. People were getting angry. Not this angry, but they were pretty angry. People were looking for something to do. And guess what? Near was the next rotation in the L1 meta. Near, they had all this tech, and the Solana NFT was still in its nascent stages, and it was about to pop off. Guess who rotated over there early? This guy. I would manage to profit off of an NFT called Antisocial Ape Club. Great community over there. Super nice founder and everything. But come on. We all knew it was Solana people pumping the stuff. Like, that's literally the rotation. And guess where ASIC is now? Nothing. Nothing's going on Near anymore in NFTs. Don't know if Aptos will have a future or longevity in NFTs, but it's going through that hype cycle right now. And if it makes it through that hype cycle, congrats. But you know what? Because I've been through this before, I'm not betting on it.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Dor, because what I like to see in order for me to actually give Aptos any sort of consideration is if I saw like a chart that showed how many of those Aptos users were coming from Solana or had like a higher percentage of their net worth in Solana or moved from Solana versus like Ethereum or, you know, Matic or as some other chain where it is more of like a cross-chain battleground. Like if that's the case, cool. Y'all go win for Solana and bring over that liquidity back here. We need it. But if it's just Solana versus Solana, like that, the rich are going to get richer. Like that is going to be how it happens. You are going to be stuck holding the bag, and all they're going to do is move it back to Solana. So not only do you get hit with the absolute garbaggio you're seeing on Aptos, but you're also going to be stuck holding the bag on Aptos too, in my personal opinion, until they start developing any sort of technological edge or anything like that on the network. It just doesn't seem like it has any viability to me like Near did. So I think you're absolutely right, Dor. Joe, how's your Aptos experience been so far?
I'm praying that my mic's better. Can you guys hear me, or is it still bad? Is it still bad?
We can hear you right now. I'll go ahead and take you off if we start hearing that Matrix stuff again.
Thank you. So yeah, Aptos is definitely. I checked it out, checked the chain out, and the UI and everything is Fiverr projects. Everything is terrible. Of the actual script on is nowhere near available utility that we're not there yet, right? It isn't. So what you're seeing now is just being cycled from the projects that pump to the hype projects. Like Aptos Monkeys came in, that's like a 50 floor already, but that's all that's going to keep happening until that is exhausted and there's going to be nothing left, right? So I hope people aren't taking their whole portfolios and like distributing it out into Aptos, because it's just not going to work out for you. If you want to play the team, you just got to watch out for VC investors and where they're dumping, probably around $10 to $15. As you look at the charts now, you see Aptos fall from 1060 down to almost $8, and you see Solana, Ethereum, and BTC up almost 6-7% today, right? So you can kind of look at these metrics and realize, like, all right, there's cyclical liquidity coming in, and it's leaving Aptos like we hope it would, coming back to our mother chain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Joe. And we caught the last bit of that point, which was excellent. You're right. Mm-hmm. All it is just liquidity cycling right now, in my opinion. And I think we are going to see that liquidity hopefully rotate back into Sol. The last thing I just want viewers and listeners to get caught with is the bag on Aptos. So just be incredibly aware that you're playing a high stakes game of hot potato. Mm-hmm. And don't get married to your bags. At least on Solana, most of the bags that you are hopefully stuck with are still building and still continuing to innovate and just push the envelope further on Web3. So not saying that Aptos can't, but until they develop their edge and the utilities built out, or the technology is built out over on Aptos, to me, it just seems like a high stakes battleground that I would rather be comfortable parking liquidity in a good, well-known Solana project that I know is going to actually develop, or even Ethereum or something like that, another chain too, trying to be chain agnostic, but something that is continuing to build out even during this bear market. And I would just sit there rather than trying to look on the 1 minute chart of some of these NFTs, trying to make like $1 each time I scalp, right? That doesn't make any sense. So that's about it. Aptos, be careful. If you can make a bag, go ahead and do yourself a favor and make that bag, but be quick to exit your positions. Let's talk about some Solana projects. Let's talk about Drop Bears. So Drop Bears hatched. The degenerate eggs did hatch over the weekend and late on Friday and I think Thursday too. But the Degenivers have been doing cool things. We got raindrops. We talked about boots and everything like that. Yeah, the race cars were minting. Drop Bears finally hatched. The eggs have been there for forever, it feels like, and now we have them. I want to get you guys' takes on them. So one, let's talk about the art, because I like the art. I actually really like the art. I think the Degenivers art grew on me over time. So at first I didn't like it. I think that was kind of like Degen apes. Some of those traits just look god awful to me, but the good Degen apes look so good. So it's just one of those, it hits a wide spectrum of appearance and everything like that. But Trash Pandas look great to me. And then the Drop Bears. I think there's definitely some that, it's kind of like more so a middle ground between the Trash Pandas that I like pretty much all of them that I've seen. And then the apes that I think there are some traits on the Drop Bears that just kind of don't do anything for me. Dor, what's your take on Drop Bears?
Yeah, as a Degen ape holder, I want to say that it's the best art on Solana, non-biased. No, actually, believe it or not, even though I hold an ape, I find the art kind of mid. But it's like, I didn't buy an ape for the art. And like, even with the Drop Bears, I wouldn't fade them because of the art, because it's what's backing that. And this team has been around for a year. They're having crates sell for 30K. So it's a team of proven builders building out different protocols. Solana Labs is constantly talking about them anytime they get a chance. So looking at beyond just the Drop Bears about the whole Degen metaverse, I'm bullish on it, man. How can you not be? It's an OG project that's constantly being marketed with solid founders. Seems good to me. And the Drop Bears, honestly, they're pretty cool. I like the low koala things.
Yeah, I do think they're cool too. Like I said, I think there's one key point though, before I really kick it over to Joe, is that there is an interesting thing we've seen for the dawn of time, is that once they reveal we see a drop in price. They were at like 90, 80 SOL at one point, and now the floor on those commons is 47, 50-ish. We'll call it 50-ish. So we're talking about anywhere from like an 80% drawdown on what it was originally worth. And I want to just put this thought into your mind, if you are listening or watching this, that what if we see this on Utes? What if we see this on any other collection? Because we've seen historical data shows that besides Critters Cult of recent memory, on reveal, most of these collections drop in price. So what do? Well, you could go ahead and take out a loan pre-reveal and take out a loan against your NFT pre-reveal. What this does is it allows you to pretty much exit your position while also seeing if you do get a rare. And if you do, go ahead and pay off that loan. You know, you at least hedge, you have the option, right? And then you can sell that rare for, you know, if you got a rare drop bear, they were worth, some of those were worth like 250 to 300 souls. So like if you got one of the Mickey DJ or whatever, you know, the McDonald's outfit basically on them, one of them sold for 280. Dude, if you took out a 90 soul loan, you could just pay it back or let it default. There's a lot of different options you have with loans in order to hedge your value on pre-reveal. Joe, I want to kick it over to you. What do you think about the Bears, and what do you think about like hedging? You know, it does feel like we're getting closer and closer to Utes the more that Frank teases it. He's been releasing some teasers. What do you think about hedging your YouTube with a loan or anything like that?
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea. I especially think where tubes are now, you could. And I think there's going to be a different paradigm to common trading, just because most of the collection is within that, you know, common selection percentage wise, and then the mythics really only a small percentage. So I think people are like, oh, well, normally dumps, like, yeah, but this one is going to be a whole different type of deal. So I think you might be better off grabbing that loan as well and having that thing hatch, not losing much opportunity cost. And if you like it, you pay it off, you take it. If not, you let it default and you go on your way. I think you can kind of hedge yourself either way there. To me, loans and borrowing gets iffy, and I try to stay away from it just because my brain doesn't work. I'm like, oh, I'm locked up for 6 days, and how quickly I like to get in and out. I like initially love it and then slowly try to counter trade myself from it. So big ups to like Bison and Manny and these guys that are able to do that stuff, you know, because it takes a lot of quick thinking and entry and exits and what ifs and what thens and things. So yeah, for me, I'm just gonna hold on. I really think that, man, I mean, we've held the 100 soul floor for how long now with how much FUD and uncertainty. I really don't see it going under that even on reveal. But I might be wrong, you know. So that that loan play could be very well a nice little shot. And I hope my audio is better for you guys. I'm sorry for that.
It's actually perfect now, Joe, and I appreciate it. But you know, and my thinking with the U is obviously I want my U, right? Like I do. I've held it on to it for this long. I don't think I'm going to fumble the bag now, but it would be nice to hedge against my position, because if it does reveal as a common, which it sounds like 90% are going to be commons, right? So you're talking about 1,300 or 13,000 of them that are going to be commons. What's the chances you're going to get a common? Probably pretty high. And if they are a non-desirable common, which I would imagine there's going to be some common traits, just like, you know, just trying to think of like Bubble Goose has Big Smoke, right? You have some D-Gods traits that are highly desirable and maybe not even the most rare that could happen, right? And we'll just see the market play itself out. But when you hedge against it, you could go ahead and like take that liquidity, make sure you're staying at 100. And let's say they drop down to 80 soul, 70 soul or something like that on some of these commons. It would just be nice to hedge your bet, especially in this market where you take your wins whenever you can. Now, the other side of that is that our cost basis for pretty much all of us, Dorian and I took the dust trade. Joe has been a D-Gods holder for a while now and pretty much got to mint his for free. So to me, it's like, well, do I even care about hedging because it's such a good trade already? Like I am so far in the green that what does it even matter? Now, I know Dor got 2 of them, so he was already able to hedge. He's already like way de-risk and then some. So yeah, the man is goated over here. But yeah, I think that's just kind of where my head's at, where it's like, man, this is a pretty good sample size. We've seen it time and time again on some of these collections. Part of me just wants to hedge and take my dub. And if it does reveal as a comment, I can at least capture some spread right there as well. But that's neither here nor there. So just a thought to put into everybody's mind. Maybe explore some lending, right? Maybe go on to Sharkify. And we'll talk about what to do in a bear market and how to sharpen your skills. But I do want to talk about
Yeah.
Meta Tattoo Club. I think that's one of the only mints lately that is actually minted out and done pretty well. It's gone up from 2 Sol to 6 Sol, so you're looking at a nice 3x there in a bear market. Definitely something to watch.
That's good.
Now, yeah, I know it's retraced a little bit to the mid 4s last time I checked. I think it might be up to 5 again, but they were cool. They were one of the ones that I saw them a lot on Spaces. It sounded like a cool, unique sort of project where they have tattoo shops already. They're looking to expand them. They do have holder rewards for tattoos, so it's a niche community. You have people that love tattoos, and that's a very accessible and addressable market. I think this is something that I want to watch the progress. I did not take the trade because I was out on my anniversary yesterday, so I wasn't watching.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But I wasn't watching the charts or anything like that. Had I, it was one that was on my watch list. So I'm very curious. I'm rooting for them because if so, you're talking about another use case for NFTs where you can tie it into, a Web2 service of tattoos. You can actually tattoo yourself and get cool rewards and stuff like that. I want to see if you guys have any thoughts or have you traded it or anything like that. Joe, I want to kick it over to you because you would probably be the most likely.
Traded what, Bison? I'm so sorry. When I say that,
you're good.
I have a house full of dogs right now. I have my sister-in-law's dog. They're going crazy.
No, you're good. I was just talking about. Have you looked at Meta Tattoo Club at all?
Oh yeah, I did, and I faded. I should have grabbed them below 2 Sol. It just seems like they're very apparent in Spaces. They're articulate. The guy that actually is running the business itself seems to have a lot of clients, and he's known as having a touch, a soft touch, tattoo wise. I don't have a lot of tattoos, but I guess it's a big thing. So you know what? It's different, right? It's a real utility for people that truly love tattoos and spend literally thousands and thousands of dollars on their body. If they're in that area where there is a real utility for them to go into a tattoo shop and get a free one or a discount or something, I can see that working for a very niche community for sure if they can keep that up. And I think they're opening one in Bali, so I mean that's a huge population there. So yeah, man, it's definitely different, and they seem like they're doing it legit. The art looks nice, and the infrastructure is pretty set up, pretty cool. So I'm just curious, do you know if do you stake for a token that gives you discounts that you can use more, like an SPL token, kind of like a Payly front end service? Do you know anything about them other than just the volume and kind of hype that they had?
No, I mean I know. So I've listened to them on a Space, but I cannot tell you exactly how the mechanics work. I haven't looked at a white paper in ages right now because for me there was just what's the chances you hit on a mint right now? Pretty much non-existent. Now they seem like the one that checks off all the boxes and stuff like that, but given current market conditions, it was well, how much is it worth it to sit there, try to get whitelist or try to worry about public mint and work on that? So I don't know. It was just one of those things that sounded good. Definitely watching it from the sidelines. If it goes back to 2 Sol or something like that, I'm interested. It sounds like a really cool community and definitely one that I believe in niches, right? We've kind of gotten through our infancy stage in Solana, definitely have more to go and grow, but we're now seeing it to where there's so many projects out there that I think the ones that are most successful in the startup phase is going to be ones that tackle niches, right? So it could be anything. We talked about Reddit, people that are balls deep in Reddit, they now have an NFT, and that was a really unique way to roll out some NFTs to them. Then you have Meta Tattoo Club, which is the tattoo insane people. There are a ton, my cousins love tattoos, and I like them too, but I'm not nearly as fanatical about them as some people are, which I know they are. And so you're going to see people sports clubs, I think, are another big addressable one. We talked about sports metaverses, the suites on our Friday Space. Make sure you tune into that Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But yeah, it's one of those things that I think when you tackle niches, whatever you want to pronounce it, you're actually going to see a lot of good foundational pillars be brought up, and then you can grow from there, right? You can start addressing horizontals and verticals from there. So that's kind of my 2 cents on it. I really like seeing them succeed, even in a bear market. That shows me good sentiment. They weren't scared to mint right there in the smack dab middle of a bear market. And they've actually done something with it too. The going up to 6 Sol right now is pretty much a huge, massive a mint right now. So, yeah, it's curious to see. Dor, I'm gonna let you if you want to chime in at all before we move on here because I haven't traded this or anything like that. But
Yeah.
Do you have any ideas on this?
Yeah, you know me, dog. New mints, what's that? This is my first time hearing of the project. I'm not going to be touching this, and I'll look into it and see more about it. From the sounds of what you and Joe were saying, it sounds pretty legit, and I'm always bullish on solid founders. So I'll check into it when the price pulls back. There's no shot this thing is sitting at 6 sold for too long. So yeah.
Yeah, it'll be curious to see. Like I said, it's one of those things that I just try to identify trends so that when the next wave happens and it actually becomes, sensible to trade again, like we can stay on top of it and we're making sure we're riding the right trend. So that being said, right now, not a good time to trade. So we're going to be talking about how to make it in a bear market. Like, we're not even going to be talking too much about alpha today because there isn't a whole lot. We gave you like one of the best plays you could have made over the past 2-3 weeks. Dorian has not banged a drum louder than him saying, buy voxel monkeys of any sort, buy supply chain voxel monkey, buy 4x4. Joe sitting there, playing, bass guitar in the background saying, yeah, listen to Dor, and they have literally been telling you the best buy you could have made over the past few weeks. And it happened. So right now, I don't know about you guys. Before we get into the making the bear market, is there any alpha that you're looking at? I know we talked about GM, Dor, and I think GM is definitely one that, dude, I've been looking at these additions more and more from these prominent artists.
Oh, yeah, high blinks too.
Yeah.
Her 80 Hansy is getting lower and lower, man.
Yeah.
I've been talking to several wells. They're accumulating those. I have one myself. But definitely one of one's additions. Me and you are in low fronts, like it's cool. Scooby, you just put me on to him. Bison puts me on to all of the hot 101 pieces. I literally copy trade Bison in the 101 space, and I've been hitting every time. So yeah.
Yeah, the 101 it was what kept me in the market the last bear cycle where we were, I guess mini bear cycle when we were at like 30K sold volume. That was the most fun I've had in Solana NFTs. Still is the most fun I've had. I know they continue to build and innovate and just grow IP brands and stuff like that. And auctions are still happening. You can actually find them cheaper. So I've been saying 101 art right now does feel like the play. Not really interested in generative projects right now unless it's on a different chain. And even then, that is a game of hot potato. If I take a position, I am getting out quickly. Joe, I want to touch base with you first before we kind of get into the real portion of what I want to talk about today, and then we'll wrap up the show.
Beautiful. Yeah, man. There's nothing really that I want to add to anything other than just, be careful out there. Know that we're getting close to the bottom here, and don't be afraid to start deploying some DCA capital, right? At different points. And I mean DCA capital in a few different aspects, right? DCA capital into Solana, maybe DCA capital into your favorite projects that you're stacking, you want multiples of. DCA into SPLs, right? Dust was at that $6. It's up to $20 almost now. That $6 sat there for almost a week, right? Just look. I mean, you look at and zoom out. Please zoom out. Go look at weekly charts and stuff, guys. Look at weekly charts. We get sucked into the micro, macro it out, check for wicks, check for supreme macro support levels. That's where we're going to right now. We're falling on supreme macro support levels. And do you sell on those or do you buy on those? That's for you to figure out. But for me, I usually try to start DCAing near macro support levels, right? It just was what I've learned throughout the years and the cyclical natures of crypto within itself, and our echo chamber kind of moves the same way. So I'm looking for low and slow right now, taking my time, building my position because I have the capital preservation. If we drop to 15, great. I spike up that DCA times 2. You know what I'm saying? So I'm in it to win it. And I really know that we're coming back on this upswing, man. We can't build. No one can build like they can here. With Rust, with all the stuff that we have now, these devs here, man, we have so many layering capabilities with this chain from a dev standpoint. So, man, I just think capability-wise, Aptos, all these cool little influxes of pops of liquidity are going to die down and dry out, and we're going to be here, man. We're here to stay. I truly believe that.
Yeah.
Yo, that's well said, Joe. I definitely agree. And that's one thing that I talk to people about too. It's like when all these new chains come out, there's diminishing returns that happen with them. Like the leap from Bitcoin to ETH was substantial, like massive leap forward. The leap from Ethereum to all these other L1s such as Cosmos, Solana, that's a solid leap too. However, it's like tech is getting better and better each time we make a leap. So the gap of innovation becomes smaller and smaller. So the leap from Solana to Eptos isn't as vast as it was from ETH to Solana. So, and I know even though people are, especially on Solana, are maxis, for profit maxis, they're over on Eptos for a little bit so they can make some money. But as soon as the market turns around, they'll come back home. And
Right.
the last thing, speaking of profit, it's like, yo, I want to tell you all, like, our whole point of this show is to educate you guys on how we think, how trading thought pattern, and not to just tell you guys moves. We're not just up here shilling our bags. We're up here literally front running the market. You can go back and check out all our episodes and see that we've been talking about projects way before they were even in the narrative.
Yeah. It's true, and that's the whole goal. So if I feel like I don't have an edge right now in this market, like I don't see really any clear defined trend that I can jump on, that I'm like, hey, you know, I can be 2 steps ahead of this and I can just buy XYZ and I'll make profit, right? That was the time like a month ago. We did talk about it with Adam Ape. I do think, like Saigo's saying in the chat right now, I think a lot of these one-on-one artists that are making generative collections, they're actually going to make a nice bag for the holders too. So you do have Clanosaurs, you do have Pop Heads. Eventually Bodega Buddies will come out, but I think that's going to be one that is completely subjective on what market conditions look like. I know Easy is going to look at this and be like, look, this is a trader-focused project pretty much. Like, we are going to make sure that the trading conditions are good. So I don't really expect that to come out anytime soon. Utes reveal, stuff like that is what I'm kind of trying to play into. But really, it's the one-on-one art scene, one-on-one artists with their additions, or coming over to the generative collection, like Clanosaurs, like Pop Heads. Those are definitely the ones that are on my radar. But other than that, I mean, I'm just taking positions on them now because I know they do have the potential to be an actual IP and go forth and conquer. So it's kind of where my head's at. But besides that, let's talk about making it in a bear market, because trading doesn't make sense anymore. We just talked to you about 4x4 and supply chain Voxel Monkey. That airdrop that they did over there was one of the best trades you could have made there. And you're talking anywhere from $500 to $600 net gain by taking those positions. And they took a week, 2 weeks to actually play out. The actual marginal utility you get from making these trades, from trading and staring at charts, is almost non-existent. You could be doing so many better things with your time right now. So we're going to talk about them. We're going to talk about building an audience, marketing, all that good stuff. It seems to be a hot topic right now. It's what we're trying to do at RareFUD, is just making connection with you guys, build a community, build out our portfolio of like, hey, this is why we made these calls, and give you actual knowledge to get into the NFT market with confidence. But it's also just like, we want to build a community the right way. And so you have to just decide how you want to go about that. But it's also programming. We have a huge need for programmers. So like, take an hour out of your day that you are staring at charts, go learn to program, go learn how finance works, right? Like, go learn lending protocols right now and see if you can hedge your positions to actually make a sizable gain. Like, let's talk about that Utes trade, because if you do have a Ute and let's say it does play out to where, you know, commons go to 60, 70 and you are able to capture a loan at, let's say, 100, then you just made a 40 spread. And, you know, like it's those plays that are actually going to move the needle forward, not only for maybe even the medium term, but the long term. And they're really, once this bull market comes back, you're actually going to be positioning yourself not only in the trading world, but actually have a job within Web3, right? So, Dorian, I want to go over to you because you do have probably the best experience when it comes to this. You are now Chief Operations Officer over at Cyber Samurai. Congrats on that again.
Thanks, man.
But talking about your path up from mod to CM to COO, and then, you know, talk about your YouTube career as well, and talk about building an audience over there.
Yeah, man. It's funny that you were talking about this subject now, because I had a meeting with Sheikh, and we talked a lot about this topic earlier today. Like, people confuse time in the space with actually honing your skills in the space. People spend all day in Discord and on Twitter spaces, but what is that actually doing for your personal brand? What skills are you, unless you're hosting multiple spaces, how is that helping you grow your audience? Don't get me wrong. If you're learning or you're new to the space, a great way to learn is through spaces, but depending on what those spaces are. Salami Mami is a great example. Spending time in his space will allow you to get a lot of knowledge. But for me personally, I've been working on growing my brand. I came into the space by just listening to Clubhouse, trying to learn the market, and fortunately stumbled into Cyber Samurai. And that time, Shake was producing a lot of content on YouTube because Cyber Samurai just released. And I was like, oh man, I love crypto and I want to be more involved. So I just started contributing in the Discord. It's like one thing I love about NFTs and crypto is that the market is wide open. There's many options and different career paths that fit your skill set. I think I'm a nice guy. I like talking to people. So I naturally fit into the mod position. So it's like, and I just started doing that, and all of a sudden, Shake was like, "Hey man, we want to promote you to mod." I'm like, "Oh crap!" And of course, it was like I didn't expect it. I wasn't doing that to get paid. I just love Cyber Samurai, and I wanted to bring value to that community and show people how much I loved it. So I continued to do that, and during the Tensei ceremony, things started to pick up a lot. And if you don't know, Tensei was when we burnt out our original Cyber Samurais to our upgraded ones, which is a way more PFPable collection. And because I've been a mod for so long, and Shake has known that I've like expanded beyond just NFTs and been contributing as a mod to other DeFi communities, and really begin to like in the initial stages of growing my own brand on Twitter, he's like, "Hey, do you want to be community manager?" It's like, you know the project better than anybody. And I'm like, heck yeah, I do. So it's like taking my time and like contributing to a community that I loved. And just, did I ever expect the floor price of Cyber Samurai to moon? Not at all. But it didn't matter to me because I got so much more value from being in the community than the floor price could ever give me. If it goes to 100, don't get me wrong, I'm going to love it. And I'm going to do everything I can to make it happen. But even before that, it's just like being there, I was able to make tons of money and friends just by contributing value to the community. And then after all that time, I really, like, even as community manager, I begin to support Shake in a larger capacity, be like, just coming up with ideas for how to market the project, ideas on how to improve things in Discord, coming up with, because of my knowledge of how the NFT market works, I gave Shake advice on things that we can do for Cyber Samurai to market better, to help make a greater impact on the project. And some of those things actually worked. And we're implementing, even, and him and I talk all the time to implement things going forward. So after I started having these discussions with him, that's when he pretty much promoted me to COO. And on the content creation side of things, just because I have a deep passion for NFTs, if that's not visible from this show, I don't know what is. I wanted to share that with everybody else. And I recognized a huge gap in the market that, like, I looked for how to do research or like project explanations, and there was no like basic guide on how to do these things. So I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I know how to do these things. I'm gonna make my own YouTube channel. And while I'm still developing that brand, and I just broke 1K followers on Twitter, it took a while to do that. And even with my channel, it's like the growth is slow. But it's like, I know that me continuing to provide value, and hopefully if I affect one person positively, it all matters. That's good enough for me. So I do these things because I enjoy them, and not necessarily for the immediate monetary return. Do I think these will pay off in the long run? Of course I do, or else I wouldn't be doing it. But you got to enjoy the process. Sorry if that was so goddamn long-winded. Ooh, I cursed. My bad.
No, you good, man. I mean, that's passion right there. And I think it does highlight, like, we all kind of took somewhat separate paths. I'd say Dora and I are pretty close, but nonetheless, like, we all have different outlooks on the market, different trading styles, different investment styles. And so I think it's helpful for people to learn different perspectives. And I think your glow up from, a mod to now COO of Cyber Samurai and starting your own channel just shows, like, this is why people leave the crypto markets. It's why they left in 2017, 2018, rather than build their own brand. And those people that stuck around and did so are now like top of the world in the crypto markets. They were the ones that were like, hey, we're down bad, still growing my brand. And now they are the ones with like hundreds and thousands of followers on Twitter. And they also have a really reputable YouTube channel or newsletter or something. And people are able to monetize for that. So, it may not seem like it's worthwhile right now. It may seem futile, but in the long run, I think you're going to position yourself in a very nascent market that is actually going to yield high value. Let's talk to Joe real quick, because Joe started D Traders with some other homies in the D Gods community. He is pretty much an alpha caller and got a name for being an alpha caller. He did get invited to some other prominent people in the spaces, was asking if he could be their alpha caller. So Joe, I kind of want to talk to you a little bit about what skills you're developing right now and what you plan on doing while we're in this bear market.
Yeah, man. What a great guy Dorian is, man. You deserve anything that's coming to you, brother. Much
Oh,
love.
thanks, man.
Absolutely. And same with you, Bison. You guys are gems. And for me, yeah, actually, I'm taking a route of actually I've left all my alpha caller roles. I've just realized it takes too much of a toll on me. And kind of like if you're going to do what I found, if you're going to do something in this space, it's gotta be something that at the end of the day you really love and it doesn't take too much of a toll mentally, even if it's like tough, like your videos are tough, but you still feel gratification from those. For me, it just didn't do that anymore because either you get called a pumper dumper or this or that, when truly all I do is give people like updated charts and market sentiments, and it just wasn't worth my time anymore. So this bear market, I'm working on two things: time management for sure, and capital preservation. My brand isn't the biggest thing to me at the moment, just because I know that will come with my just being here every day and compounding what I love, which is like market sentiment, charts, and not answering to anybody. Just a free flow on my time. So if you want to come check it out, come check it out. If not, no worries. So that's what I'm looking at now. So time management and capital preservation. And I'm hoping that just showing up every day will compound into something for me.
It's 100%.
Dog, it will. You're here on RareFUD, man. All three of us are dedicated to making this into something, and we will.
Yeah. And so it's one of those things that, I mean, Joe saw the writing on the wall. And I think alpha caller is one of those roles that is kind of like a compound on how the market is, right? If we were absolutely balling out, dude, some people were making money over, hand over fist in terms of not only their calls they were making, but also getting paid to be an alpha caller. Like people are willing to pay more when there's more money flowing in the market. So it's kind of like a derivative where Joe saw the writing on the wall. He was like, is this really worth my time? And what's the opportunity cost? And I want to talk to a lot of people about this. Look, I know Web3 is exciting. And some people are like, I just want to trade. This is way more fun than my actual job. Sometimes your actual job is going to actually yield more capital for you to invest when we do hit the bull market. And that's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people. For me, I don't like real estate nearly as much as I love Web3, yet it pays infinitely more than if I were to focus on real estate. So I've actually scaled back my time in Web3 to a couple hours a day until my role becomes more prominent with remnants. And we actually have some stuff out that I can be business development on. It's more of a future role right now. And in the meantime, I'm here to preach the gospel. By the way, remnants did come out with PvP. We've held a 7 SOL floor price, even in this bear market. Go check it out. I would encourage you to do so. But until some of this pivot stuff comes out, until what we are actually working to build comes out, my time is better spent in my Web 2 job. Like it is better spent being a realtor. And I think that's a lot of a big pill, a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow. So no, that's okay. You are not quitting. I would just make sure that you are, kind of balancing your time, like Joe was saying, with time management of, should you be staring at charts 8 hours a day right now? Probably not, unless you have a sizable portfolio that you are trading with, and it is actually more beneficial to still be trading these 10% swings or something like that versus actually going out and working on a Web 2 job or building a skill so you can be positioned to have a Web 3 job when the time comes and when those job opportunities arise. So just know there's opportunity cost with all of those, whether it's programmer, whether you want to build out a newsletter or write threads or become a prominent writer in the space, whether you want to create content like Dorian and myself, or Easy. Easy's another great guy in the space that provides quality content. There's a lot you can do in this space, but it may not be a full-time job right now. So if you do need capital, if you need liquidity right now, it's okay to take a break from Web3. That is how you survive in a bear market. So you can make it to the next bull market. Is just know you want to stay involved in this space, but it may not be a full-time job. It may be better to focus on your Web 2 full-time job so that you have more capital when the next bull market hits. That's kind of what I got for everybody. In terms of skills you can build, we talked about, developing newsletters, writing threads, start learning programming. It's something I've actually been working on, going back to Python and learning a little bit of JavaScript and stuff like that on the front end, just to learn a new skill, right? 30 minutes a night, not making this like my proficient job or anything, but if the time does arise or I want to be a better, more knowledgeable person in this space, I got to know these skills, right? So it's more or less, I want to become more of a jack of all trades. So these are all skills you can work on developing. If you guys have any questions, we all know a little bit, but we can certainly connect you to the right people who know some too. So make sure you shoot us a DM on Twitter. We are here to help. That is the whole goal of this show. It's to help everybody find their own niche, carve it out, and succeed in it, right? Whether it is trading, whether it is finding your own role in Web3. So, guys, I want to end it on that. Do you guys have any closing statements before we wrap up the show? We are at the hour mark.
Yeah. Sorry, Joe. You go ahead, man. I go all the time.
Oh, no problems, guys. Yeah, man. Just, stay busy, stay active. Like Bison said, pick up some things that might help you in the future. Even 20 to 30-minute days of practicing those, compounding that practice is going to amount to something much bigger. And I think coding is a great one, right? Like, if that's a natural language for our space, right? It's like, no matter if you speak English, Spanish, Japanese, anything, right? If you can script, you can code, you can get around and network with anybody here. So I think that's a great point, Bison. And yeah, much love, guys.
Yeah, I agree with that, Joe. Another skill is editing as well. I foresee social media continuing to escalate its prevalence in our society, whether that's through Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, or any other new one. People will need their videos edited, and a lot of people don't want to dedicate the time to. So I think that's more of a non as technical skill as coding that you can also learn. I do want to say thank you all for tuning in as always. If you're here in the bear market, you're definitely going to make it. And by tuning into this show, we're going to make sure that happens. And I want to give a huge shout out to Bison and Joe. You guys are like diamond in the rough, man. I'm so happy to be able to co-host the show with you.
Likewise, brother. I appreciate it. Well, yeah, like Dorian said, I definitely think editing is a very valuable skill to have. It is something that has made me money, even in Web 2. So, and I am a very beginner novice editor. I would say I am not very skilled in it. I just know how to make a decent YouTube video, not a full feature film. So just a skill like that can go a long way and open up some doors. That about does it for us on this episode of RareFUD Radio, episode 22. Thank you so much for tuning in. We do have our show every Tuesday and Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube and Twitter. We do have those episodes uploaded to podcasts. So if you're listening on podcast, come check out the stream. If you're listening on stream, make sure that you catch the rest of the episode if you missed some of it on the podcast. This is why we do this, is to make sure you have all of your media platforms ready and able to go so you never miss a show. Make sure you tune in for our Friday space. They are at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. And yeah, we just talk with you guys about the market, what's going on in the market, how we can help, and any projects that might be on your radar. Right now, we are adapting more of a slow mindset and investment mindset. So just know that trading wise, not a whole lot going on in this market. You're scalping for lunch money, and make sure you're focusing on sharpening those skills so that the next bull run comes, you're going to be well prepared and well positioned. That about does it for us on this episode of RareFUD Radio. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll see you on Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.